gotcha.
Yeah, it wasn't there before, but it's showing up now. So
That's because the owner of the meeting is there.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so we got that solved.
Okay, just a second.
To get on, oh, I'll get you on.
You know, don't worry about it.
Okay, good. Get mine. I don't know what I did with my pen. I just left right here. Okay. And we have everybody. Right? Okay. I apologize for the technical challenges. We logged on. We thought we were logged on, and then it didn't happen. So we tried to log on again, and it forced us to close the meeting, which I think we closed it all out on you guys. And then we were waiting. Finally, we closed that meeting, and apparently you guys were able to log back in, and we couldn't. So we finally got it going. So I apologize for that. So we're ready to start.
Yeah, so we just do introductions.
Yeah.
and correspondence.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. If I could have all the board members just identify themselves here in the room.
Okay, I'm Bonnie Gilmore and I am here.
Kathleen Doherty, I'm here.
Just introduce yourself.
Oh, Lynn,
Okay.
I can hear me fine. I can hear her through the mic. So.
Okay, good.
They can't hear you very well.
Okay.
Dan Negus here.
Okay. And Rolando De La Torre is here along with Don. Is Jerry going to join us?
He will.
Okay.
After the
Closed
closed
session.
session.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. First thing on the agenda is to approve the agenda for the regular meeting for today. Did everybody get a chance to look at the agenda?
I did.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll
Aye.
second it.
Okay.
Dan.
Dan.
I'm Dan.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
in favor?
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, no, all ayes. Okay, next on the list, introductions. Is there anybody from the audience that wishes to identify themselves or introduce themselves? You have to unmute.
He didn't want to. Okay, Diana Lessie.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Anybody else? Okay, move on. We have correspondence.
Yeah.
So,
Just, I'll do the next.
okay, so we have
About for compensation.
so we have a document that was sent on it looks like September 8th. Diane, do you want to just give a brief summary of it, or do we need to read it all?
I'd prefer you read it into the record, please.
Okay.
Well, you can just say what it's about. It's about board compensation and needing to have it dealt with. And
Okay.
if it's not, there are
Yeah.
consequences.
Okay, so I think, as Don was saying, it's addressed to the board regarding the board compensation. There's a notice here that needed to be brought up in. I think your hope is that we address it today and on the September 8th meeting, which we had to cancel.
But the next one,
And we had the correspondence. Oh, you had an updated date one?
yeah.
Okay. We are in good faith.
I made that a publicly viewable document.
Right. So you give notice to Dawn on September 8th or 6th, I'm sorry, via phone.
Everything's been documented in writing.
Right, and then you're giving a deadline for September 22nd. And I think that covers the high level. Okay. So your
Looking
letter
for remedy and cure for
sorry, what was that?
unlawful. I'm looking for remedy and cure for an unlawful action
remedy
by the
here
board.
for the compensation that's in question. Okay, so we acknowledge that everybody's got the document. Let me see here. We had intended to have a closed session, and we're going to have a closed session. We're going to go into closed session about this, I believe right now, if no one has any objections.
If I can make a comment.
Sure.
For concerns that are expressed via written communication, you just present the communication and then we move on. You can't engage in a conversation regarding the communication at this point in time. It should be posted on the website under the board documents as part of the communication, however, and you've already given a summary of what the contents of it is. But we can't go into a discussion other than moving forward in the agenda at this time, which is the closed session regarding potential legal, what is it? Potential, I forget the title of it exactly, but in regarding board compensation is the discussion item and in closed session. So it is there.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move into closed session. So we're going to hold and mute the Zoom meeting, and we're going to have a conference call with the.
Kathy has something.
Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
Before you go into closed session, you have to take public comments on the closed session item.
Oh, thank you. Any public comment on the closed session?
Are there any hands raised?
I'm waiting. Everybody's muted.
Well, if they had a comment, they would raise their hand.
I can't see any hands raised, so.
Oh, I don't see any.
Okay. We'll go ahead and mute, I guess.
So are you muting the observers so that we can have a closed session? Because it appears as if you're just muting.
So Bonnie and Kathleen need to mute, you guys need to mute your own
So
microphones.
But are we going to have a phone conversation then?
yes. So we're going to mute the Zoom meeting, and then you guys need to mute your connections,
And
and
then
then we're going to call
call
you.
you.
Bonnie, you're not muted. There you go.
Well, here we are. Okay.
You guys popped
Wanda, it
back
looks
up
like
and they
you-
left. They dropped out when you guys came on.
Yeah, no, they're still there.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Donna, unmute.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is everybody back? Because I see Diane, Merlin, Joanna, I don't know if we are missing anybody.
Yeah, John was here and I told him that you were in closed session and he bugged out for now, but told him you
Yeah,
need
he's
his
the one
computer on. He didn't, so
asking for
hopefully he'll be back.
Okay,
that's Barnsdale, John's Barn.
John, okay.
Barn.
okay. Okay, well, thanks, everybody. Okay, so we ended our closed session. No action was taken during our closed session. Unfortunately, the attorney could not attend. Daughter had an accident, a car accident, and was in surgery. So there's going to be a future closed session here as early as we can schedule it. So more to come regarding the action for the closed session after that future meeting. So
No,
we're going to move on the agenda items. We're actually going to move the agenda item from section G1 that talks about board compensation up to next. And I think I'm going to hand over to Kathy, I believe.
Okay, before we do that, though, I was not paying attention and I apologize. Did you report out that no action was taken in closed session?
Right.
I did.
Good.
You did.
Okay, so item G1, and I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I would like to take public comments on this item before we start our discussion. Anybody have a comment on this item?
I do.
October agenda.
So how are we going to address, I have my hand up, whatever.
Okay.
You want to take that or not? Okay.
G1.
Yeah.
In regards to an imposed deadline, now I understand I will have to be noticed by dawn, I guess, of force majeure or of some force outside of nature that is delaying this action, because this has been an ongoing action since February. Basically, the notification of unlawful compensation that was obtained without ordinance, without a vote. And then subsequently, I'm not seeing any resolution or minutes that back up even the $300 that was taken in stipends. So that's why there's an imposed deadline of the 22nd, and I'd like to know what kind of arrangements we're going to make where this is going to be resolved before I take legal action.
Well, we're,
Yolanda,
yeah, go ahead.
let's continue with the public comment on this item.
Okay.
Any others that have public comment on this item before we start the board discussion on it? I can't tell if hands are raised or not.
Diane's hand is still raised.
Okay.
She just took it out.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment on this item before we begin board discussions?
I thought Merlene was, but she dropped out, it looks like.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to start the board discussion component on this item. And And I would like to share that information that was given to us made a reference to special district board member compensation, which is set by the legislature, and Christian Valley Park Community Service District is governed under Governance Code 61047, which sets the maximum compensation rate at $100 for each meeting attended by a board member, with a maximum of 6 days per month that can be compensated for. And that if we were to have done any raises in the board compensation, then we would have had to follow the terms as outlined in Water Code 20200918 to increase the compensation above $100. However, it is my understanding that those processes and procedures were not followed. So I am going to make a motion that we immediately move the board compensation back to meet the requirements of Government Code 61047, and then meet with legal counsel in a special meeting to determine reparations that need to be made for any and all other circumstances which may have occurred. I also am very well aware that this doesn't fall within our current bylaws. So I'm going to ask that the bylaws which are up for approval, which do not specify the amount of the compensation, but rather specify that it will be taken care of following Government Code 61047 as recommended by the legal counsel that reviewed our bylaws, be the next item that gets taken care of. So my resolution, my motion is that beginning this month immediately, that we revert back to $100 for each meeting attended by board members, and that is each meeting that is prescribed by law that we can lawfully get the $100 per meeting, and that we meet with legal counsel as soon as possible in closed session to determine any reparations that may be necessary based on actions that were taken by a prior board or prior boards. Is there any discussion on that?
Yes.
And this is from board now.
Kathy, are you aware that that law was passed in 2005?
I was.
Okay, $100 in 2005 is a huge, huge difference than $100 in 2020.
I understand, but the law stands as it is, and it was just renewed 2 years ago. And I think from my point of view, at this point in time, we need to be following the letter of the law because we are governed under Government Code 61047, which means we really don't have a lot of choice in what we do. So if that government code changes, then we can certainly change with it. But we are out of compliance and we need to bring ourselves back in compliance. And that's why I'm requesting that this action be taken as a motion.
So you've stated that as a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready for a second, or is there more discussion beforehand?
I want to give Dan the opportunity. Do you have any comments?
I understand, I understand the part when we're out of compliance. The part that I am concerned about is whatever steps we take, that I think it should be lawful and it should be done with the guidance of an attorney to give us set direction on what should be done properly so that we don't have to revisit this again.
I agree, which is part of my motion, is to then schedule a closed session with legal counsel to direct us on how to finish that process, but really get it started by going back in time right now to immediately revert back to $100 per meeting.
My opinion on that is we shouldn't be forced to vote on this until we've talked to legal counsel. I feel just like Dan that I think it's too important of a decision to make before we have a chance to have legal counsel. And we're already only talking for 4 or 5 days from now, so it's no big deal.
And I would be in favor of withholding payment until we have
A decision.
a decision.
So Dan, I understand your perspective. However, we're not talking about restitution. We're not talking about solutions. We're talking about taking us back tonight to where we need to be pursuant to the government code. So it may be premature to second Kathy's motion, but if not, I second that.
Is there any other discussion on this motion?
Doesn't seem like it.
Roll
So,
call vote.
yeah, so we have a motion. We have, everybody's clear on the motion. We have a second. So we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. So Dan?
Do you want me to repeat the motion before you do that?
I don't want to start, so.
It's important enough that maybe, yes, Kathy, you should.
Okay, so let me repeat the motion. The motion is that we immediately revert back to $100 per meeting for board compensation to bring ourselves in line with 61047, and then schedule a meeting, a special meeting with legal counsel to discuss any ramifications that we may need to be considering at this point in time based on that.
So we're going to do a roll call vote now. Don, do you want to?
Sure. Roll call vote. Kathy,
Aye.
Bonnie,
Aye.
just say. Lynn,
Nay.
Dan,
Nay.
and Rolando.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I am going to suggest if it's possible, and again, we already approved the agenda order, but we also have the second item on here that relates to this because there is a piece of the bylaws that actually addresses this item, and that is based on legal counsel. So I would like to, based on legal counsel review, so I would like to recommend that we move the item regarding bylaw revisions up and take care of that now before we go into reports.
Okay, so item number 5 under section G, action items. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we're moving that to next item on the agenda. Do we have any public comment on board bylaws addended revision approval?
I have a gift coming in the mail for you. It's supposed to get here soon, but it didn't. So I will just send it.
No, I have my hand up.
Go ahead, Diane.
Other than I know that there's been a lot of time and effort and volunteer work in regards to the bylaws, and then being polished more so with the attorney at CSDA, which fortunately we got some free time with when we purchased that membership, so it's already paying for itself. But right now I believe Kathleen did a wonderful job at spearheading that committee, and I believe that putting this piece in the bylaws at least can solidify that part, and then the board can move forward from that point. Thank you for your attention. I yield.
I don't see anybody else's hand up. If you can't get the hand, go ahead and speak up. Okay, I think we'll close public comment. Okay, so Kathy, you want to introduce the action item?
Well, actually, Dawn has had a major role in this, but the committee, which was Bonnie, Dawn, Joanne, Marilyn, and Diane, we met multiple times. We did the first draft. We brought the draft forward to the board. We asked the board to take a look at it. We embedded the comments of the board in the bylaws. And then we sent the entire package to CSDA, and they did a great job and reviewed it with a fine-tooth comb and told us what to take out and what to leave in. And it included the section on following the government code relating to board compensation and doing that appropriately. So without a number, just saying we're going to adhere to government code and the right code. So it has been reviewed, and it is a good document that's ready to go. It also calls for an annual review of the bylaws by the board so that if we want to review anything, and it also identifies how amendments can be made to the bylaws if there are any needed changes that are desired or needed. At this point, it's a good document. We've condensed it as much as we could. And one of the recommendations that came out of the legal review was that some of the stuff that was in the bylaws needs to be in a policy format. So we're going to be following that process too. And you'll see that in a lot of our meetings now as we move forward. But again, the bylaws have been reviewed by committee and they've been reviewed by board, and all the board input was inserted into the bylaws, and then they've been reviewed by CSDA legal counsel, and he did again, detailed. It took me an hour and a half just to put his comments and changes into the bylaws. It actually longer than that. I think Don and I were working together on that one. And so Don, do you have anything to add on that?
No, I do want to say it was that the document that was submitted to CSDA was definitely a group effort with the community, and which you had stated before. But anyway, I think it's a good document.
I just want to extend my personal gratitude to everybody who worked on the document, and I appreciate the time and the dedication and commitment to making sure we're functioning as we should be.
I would like to second that. I read it over and I could see that a lot of time and effort had put into it, and I want to thank everybody that did that and spent the time to carefully comb through everything that needed to be looked at. And you know, I appreciate that it was done. It's long been needed. So
I think a huge call out is actually to Kathy for doing so much work on this. It's just a huge amount of work, and I just appreciate for bringing her education and her experience to use that part of refining the bylaws. So anyway, thank you, Kathy.
Well, my pleasure. You know, I have a vested interest in making us a great organization.
Okay. Any other comment from anybody on the bylaws? Okay. So I think we can use a motion now. Anybody?
Go ahead, Kathy.
I approve that I move that we approve the bylaw revision as developed by committee, reviewed by the board, and reviewed by legal counsel.
Okay, so with great thanks, I second the motion.
Okay, so another roll call vote. Don, you want to?
Okay. Let's see. Dan?
I
Lynn?
No.
Rolando?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries. Right?
Yep.
I
Motion
did my
carries.
math right.
So the new bylaws will be posted on the website as one of the documents on the new website when you review it.
Okay. Okay, well, if we don't have any other changes to the agenda, we're going to go back to our original agenda, section F, reports. And Jerry, sorry for making you wait.
Sorry.
But go ahead.
Okay, water. Well, the really good news is I reported last month that the flows, we've made more water than we normally do by far, but you know, once that meter got messed with by PCWA, it was like, boy, are we knocking on the door of capacity. We contacted PCWA, gave them some calculations and asked them to recheck. They came out and sure enough, checked it and said, yeah, they had made an error in the totalization function on it. They made some adjustments and everything's kind of back to quote normal. So, and I think you got a credit on the bill. So
Two
that
credits, one for last month, one for this month.
So
it's all up to snuff.
yeah, good news. But we still are making a lot of water, and it's not just Christian Valley. I've talked to a number of other agencies around, and I think somebody akin it to, they called it a victory garden. Apparently, back in World War II, a lot of people were encouraged to grow gardens and whatnot. And I think people being home, they're just using lots of water. So we should see that in revenue. I mean, we're certainly seeing it at the plant. We did have, the only thing that's gone wrong at the plant was, man, the algae was just incredibly thick.
What is algae?
Algae, like
Algae
green
blooms.
algae blooms.
Algae.
And
Yeah, he didn't say
Algae.
algae, sorry.
And the refrigerator.
My Wisconsin Midwest. And we had 2 emergency callouts in the middle of the night where the pump tripped because it was clogging the headworks so bad. The pump starts to cycle because it can't get enough water. With the new project, we'll be able to see levels and know what's going on. But and then our headworks flow meter, which is really just there, it's not super accurate, but it gives us a relative position. It's not working now. And I think what's happened is it had accumulated so much crud around it. It's a trick. We can pull it out and we'll assess it and figure out what's going on with it. But that was kind of the big deal for the month.
Normally PG&E puts out, that citrus acid or something. I didn't see that coming.
Well, so now Placer County Water Agency is taking over that. So every month they do it. In fact, it's next Tuesday. And when they do that, we shut the plant down for most of the day and then turn it back on. And what he's referring to is they treat the canal for algae. So they put, basically an algicide into the water. Supposedly it's safe, it won't hurt us, but it does cause taste and odor issues if you bring it through the plant. So we've just always shut down the plant, let it get by. We coordinate with the PCWA operators. Believe it or not, it actually gets worse for a day or 2 after that. Because all the algae's dying and it
backs up in the
yeah. But we can deal with that. We're prepared for that. But this has been unprecedented. So anyway, so it seems to have gotten a lot better the last couple of weeks. So leaks to report were very minor. We had a small service line leak up on Thomas, and then we finally got the meters or the meter boxes and the hot tap done down there at the school property for the guy that's developing that. So we got all that in, but he didn't want to put a meter in. So there's just all the boxes are all set and ready to go.
Yeah.
So that'll show up on next month's invoice. John Harbor did the excavation. We supplied the parts and did the installation, and he backfilled it. So.
I'm sorry, Jerry, go back to the headboard. So do you have to replace something on the headboard?
Yeah, well, we're going to pull out, it's called an insertion meter. So it's a rod basically that goes down through a special coupling, and it's got a paddle wheel. And the faster the water spins, the faster the paddle wheel, and that's how it knows flow. And I think what's happened is those paddle wheels will fail. It just is a matter of wearing out. And I think because you could feel on there, you could feel it vibrating when it was clogged. And I think that the algae either wrecked that little bearing in there, and it's no big deal. It's like $120 for a new.
Okay.
So we just got to pull it out. We haven't pulled it out.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about. The fence, so.
No, we'll figure it out. It's not that much.
Okay.
Pump station generator. That thing's gonna give me a heart attack. So that's the plant one runs like a top. We went out and tested the one at the plant, and it started to do this surging, like it wouldn't run right. And I was like, holy moly. I called the Cummings guys, and they couldn't respond in time. So I called up GMT, which are right over here in Applegate, and they came out and tuned it up, and it runs like a top now. So I felt it was worth getting GMT out ASAP so that we didn't run. If we run out of power up there, all of Westridge, Bonnie, Lynn, you guys are going to get low pressure, and people at Pheasant won't have any water. So that thing's back. The one thing, and I talked to Cummings about it when I opened it up, they had started that load bank test, and that's when they determined that they thought the gas line. So the good news on there is I've worked with Campora. Campora said, hey, it's no big deal. You don't have to dig anything up. They're just going to put a bigger regulator on. So that was last week. He thought it'd be here by Friday. So hopefully we'll have that in. But the unit will run as is.
Right.
It ran all last year like that. But to get it up to full capacity, which it's so much bigger than what we need, but the price was right.
Right.
But it's good to have it all,
Right.
set properly. In terms of capital improvements, we ordered, and I don't know if Bill sent you, Don, a notice yet, because that's going through your Hawk account. So you'll get the invoice directly from Hawk, and he's going to send you a note when it gets ordered. So, and that's, we had like $4,800 budgeted, but the more we looked, I think, a different unit, it's not the latest generation of the desktops, but we put the nice new online turbidimeter in, which is solid. So we've actually downgraded, and this new one is about $2,500. So there's a little bit extra money out there if needed down the road, and it's not sacrificing the quality of what we got. We're probably going to move the old one, which doesn't work great, but we'll move the up top, and we can use that to test raw water up there and stuff like that. So, and then we're also another budget item that got approved was the actuators. So there's a total of 12 in the plant. We only ordered 4. So we're just ordering 1 to make sure we get the right model, because there's really tight size tolerances and whatnot in these little bushings. So we're just gonna make sure that one, we're just gonna get the one, put that on, make sure it works, fits properly, then we'll order the other 3. So those should be, and I think it should work fine, but I don't wanna get 4 of them, have to return if it doesn't fit just right. That's really it in the water report. It's been fairly quiet this month, and looking forward to the cooler weather. In terms of the tank project, the tank 1 structure is nearly done.
Wow.
It looks great, and I sent Don a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
They've got the knuckle. They're finishing the roof now. They pulled the crane out of the inside of the tank. The site is so constricted. They had to put what's called a door panel, and they cut a huge hole in the side of the tank. They put big bracing up, and then they moved the crane inside and built it from the inside out. So they're at a point now where they had to pull the crane out, and now they're finishing the roof. They're starting to put the ladders on, the overflow is on. So it really looks like a tank. And I'll get to the color in a minute. I think from the neighbor's perspective, it's a shock the first time you see it. But I think when the color gets on it, that it's going to be kind of green, the clover that Lynn worked with the neighbors on. I think it's going to blend it nice. And I think the one that's going to go in the reservoir, we decided to leave those trees up on that corner, which I'm glad, because I think that will really shield people as they drive up West Ridge, plus all the scrub oak that was going to stay. I think the second tank is going to blend nicely for the neighbors as well. There's no issues with the neighbors. I try to touch bases with them on a regular basis. They've been super patient, super nice. We're going to start getting into Jeff's yard now on the west side of the site. That's where the temporary 12-inch line is going to go. We have to go in there and find the old drain valve, and that's where the first tie-in is going to be. So speaking of tie-ins, so there's going to be some shutdowns that are going to have to occur up in the West Ridge area. And we'll coordinate with Don on times and whatnot. And I think we've got it down to, there's a lot that has to happen, but I think we've got a plan where it will be one total shutdown for about 6 hours. It'll be a long one. The water will be out in West Ridge area. The second one, when we tie the pump station actually in, it won't be a water outage. It'll be a pressure reduction. We'll run through the gravity bypass and run off the new tank when we do that. So we'll get dates, and I'll write up a letter, and we'll just have to send it to everybody up there. And maybe I thought it might be good to put a sign up. Sometimes mail just gets thrown out, but we can just make a very simple plywood sign, and just to put it down at the bottom.
Probably be good to have it more towards the middle of the day rather than the first thing in the morning.
No, we usually do about 9.
Okay.
Let people get out of the house. I mean, it's a little different now because people are home a lot, right? But we usually give them at 9 o'clock. That way, coffee, toilet, showers, everything can kind of. And hopefully, I've been talking to the contractor, and our plan is for the first one that we do, the days before, we're going to go out and it's going to be all dug up. We'll put trench plates down. And then when time comes, then it's a matter of pulling the plates, cutting, making the modifications, done. We'll probably have a couple of our guys out there too, not just me. It's kind of an all hands on deck. Want everything to go smooth on that. And we'll probably end up giving a little bit of a hand, particularly operationally, recharging the line and stuff like that. So hopefully that goes smooth, and we'll go there. Tank coating, so they're starting now to plan for the tank coating itself. So the structure is scheduled to be done the last week of September. So the 28th-ish, I think they're gonna move, the coating crew is gonna come in and start that. So there'll be sandblasting, it'll be noisy, they've got compressors. This will probably be one of the noisier sections of consistent noise on the project. It's not just people beating on the fitting and welding, it's going to be some of that. So we did get 2 proposals to do the tank coating inspection. I can't inspect coating. It's a NACE special certification. We got 2, both from the Bay Area. The West Coast coating consultant was just a little bit cheaper than the other firm, and we worked with them in the past on a number of different projects around here. They have a good reputation. So my recommendation would be we just go with them. It's about $18,000, and they give, and this is all in the project budget. So this was all in the total project cost. They do, the caveat here is they do base it on a time and materials, basis, because they don't know, right? If the contractor, it's a big fight with the contractor, they could be out there longer. The good news is they estimated 4 weeks. The painting contractor, when I talked to him, is saying, hey, if everything goes as we hope, 3 weeks. So, it might be a little less than that amount. So we would need Dawn to be able to have the authorization to approve that, to have them, sign their little agreement and whatnot. And then we could have them scheduled. I've been kind of keeping track with the tank guy. So it should mesh. They've been put on notice, hey, we may need you out here at the end of the month, beginning of October. But coating is super important, and it's money very well spent. We spent about $15,000 in 2006 for the coating inspection on a slightly larger tank than yours up at Weimar. So I mentioned Clover was the selected color, and Lynn worked with guys. They kind of rooted it down to 2 that they liked, and I talked to Jeff, and he had already talked to, I think it's Bernie on the other side, and they like Clover, so that's what we instructed the contractor. So they've ordered that, and that will all be blended, and the paint will show up. The work's going to start up at the water plant. See, there's not a ton of work up there, but we've been up at the plant talking about that. There's one, I think, a great opportunity here for the district. We inject chlorine at 2 different spots. We drip chlorine in up at the pumps in just an open basin. That's called pre-chlor. And then we have post-chlorination, where the waters come through the filters, and then it goes through all the piping and it goes out. We have an injector in the steel pipe, and chlorine, you see what it does to your jeans. It does basically the same thing to steel. So we have a tapping saddle that's been on there for years and years, and it's pretty corroded and whatnot. And we're up there talking, because the contractor's going to cut a section out of 3 sections of pipe in different spots to put these flow meters in. There's a great opportunity that if we provide just a spool of ductile iron pipe, when he cuts it, it's no big deal. He can just put that all back in, no extra cost, no anything. And then we get rid of that, and then we'll just tap it and put a new saddle on. And then we get rid of it. We're going to have to do it eventually. It'll be more expensive if we wait. The material, I got a quote from Ferguson. It's about $350 plus or minus for a flange by flange ductile iron spool, a gasket set, bolt set, and we probably have saddles, up there.
Is that the normal way to do that, is with the saddle?
Yeah. Because so basically you have a piece of pipe, and the injectors screw in. So one way to do it is to drill a hole in the pipe and thread the pipe.
Right.
But if anything ever goes wrong, the threads fail or something like that, there's nothing you can do. The second way to do it is to drill a hole through the pipe, just a clean hole, and then you put a saddle, which just bolts on, and it's got thread on it, and then you thread into that. So you can also throw away the saddle and put a new one on. You have to worry about stripping it or anything like that. So that's the most common way to do something like
So give
that.
you two options.
It's cleaner, and also it's redundant in the fact that it protects you if your first connection in the pipe starts to fail, then you've got a backup in there. So.
Yeah, and you have hundreds of saddles in the system, out in the, so it's a very common, thing. So if that's okay, I would like to, I talked to the contractor, he said, hey, it won't cost anything extra. As long as they're cutting that all apart, they can slip it in and we're done with it. And, to me, it's a no-brainer. Otherwise, we're gonna have to do it later. And okay.
So should we?
Do we need a motion or?
It's kind of plant maintenance.
Yeah, plant maintenance, yeah.
I just think it's thinking ahead and not having to.
I agree. I think it's just the right time.
So electrical contractors starting to move in. They're starting to talk about digging trenches for the conduit, whatnot, up at the site. PP3, progress payment 3 was prepared. I think Don and I are getting pretty good at it. The first one was monumental, and the second one was a little confusing. Third one, I think we nailed it. So that went right out to USDA. PRTs, passerless tanks, estimate was not estimate. The agreed upon amount was $219,500, $526. So we sent that with the schedule values, percent complete, over to USDA. They're in the process of reviewing it. I think our next progress payment will probably be one of the bigger ones. I just want to make, they've been averaging 170 to 200 and some change. The next one will probably be bigger because it made so much progress on the tank. And also I've got the factory tests for the filter pumps. So those will probably be delivered and they'll invoice for those as part of that. So I just want everybody to be prepared. It probably could be 350 for.
Yeah, so real quick, does that mean that we may require another draw? Or
probably not.
Probably not, okay.
So.
But it might be close.
Okay.
We'll just have to see what the percentages of completion are.
Okay.
So.
Ramifications on there.
Okay. Good news, no change orders to date. Everything's going smooth as it can. As we've been digging there, finding pipe and whatnot, there are a couple of spots I think we want to add air release valves where we're tying into other pipes. The reason you put those in, there's a high point and air can, accumulate in there, and it, believe it or not, it can obstruct flow, right? So you put air release valves. One is just going to be a manual one because it's on the bypass line. It's probably going to trigger a small change order. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll talk to them. I mean, I'm talking like maybe $2,000 tops for 2 of these. Hopefully not even that. But
for installing them or for buying
everything to get them in and whatnot. We'll see as we shoot some more grades and elevations and whatnot. It's probably prudent to do that now rather than wait. The project part.
That way you can, if you have any problems, you can get the air out of there and right away, and then it'll help you to get the thing.
Yeah, and I think we found a better way. I was out there, a better way to connect to the pump station, which I think is going to save them a little bit of money in terms of, and it reduces our risk. The initial design was to dig under the corner, all the piping's under the corner of the pump station. And I've always been nervous about that. And I was in the pump station a couple of weeks ago looking at it and going, man, we might be able to just step up above grade, modify the piping inside a little bit and make it much cleaner, get everything out from underneath that pump station. So if there's ever a leak or something,
then you don't have to,
we're still working through that on how that might look. So maybe we can, hey, this is an easier connection. Hey, give us these air release valve kind of a thing. I don't know. In terms of schedule, project's on schedule. We're getting now though to the point where weather's going to start playing a role. So we'll kind of see, keep our fingers crossed. It's wet enough, but not too wet. So that's the water report.
Okay.
Quick comment. It's sobering to stand inside that tank and see how big it is and realize that we sell that much water on a hot summer day.
Yes,
And
you're
a
right.
little bit more.
You go through that whole tank on a daily basis.
That blows my mind because that tank is huge.
Yeah.
On the inside when you get in there.
Yeah, it's kind of sickening when you think about that.
Yeah, it's sobering.
Yeah.
So before you take off,
Yeah.
I Dr. John Barnsdale has a hookup request, and I just wanted you to be
Sure.
available just in case there's any questions from the board
Sure.
regarding that. And so
So we're done with the
Yeah.
report.
That's my water.
Okay,
anyway,
thanks, Jerry.
move that item.
Yeah, great job. I think it's nice to see all that progress on the project and
Yeah, it's
after all
going.
this work.
going
Yeah.
nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks, Jerry.
All right.
Okay, so, but because John is here, maybe we could move that forward and have him.
Yeah, well, it's
Questions,
next on the
any
agenda.
concerns?
It's next
No,
on
the
the,
board,
Okay.
these are next.
oh, sorry. Oh,
I
sorry,
just wanted
sorry.
to put
Yeah.
those up.
So thank you. G1, action item under G1, we're gonna address that now so we can address Dr.
Barnsdale.
Barnsdale, his request. So Don, you wanna introduce?
We need
So-
a motion.
We haven't, they don't even know what
Yeah,
they're talking about yet. Anyway, Dr. Barnsdale went to Lynn, right? You know him, and he had dirt in his lines, in his water lines, and due to low flow from low yield from his well, and anyway, he requested that if we could hook up the water. What I want the board to know is that the big 10-inch water line that comes from the water plant goes right through his property and then out to Greg Way. And it goes underneath Pondorex Road and whatnot and heads down to Greg Way. Anyway, he is requesting a hookup to water. And the hookup would not just be a tap into that 10-inch line, but to come off a Western Circle where it's a pressurized line,
Uh-huh.
and that Dr. Barnsdale would get an easement on his own from the Gillards, who's got the property that goes sort of a straight shot to his property. And so anyway, just requesting that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
So just the 10-inch line going through his property, that's just FYI. That has no
Yeah,
bearing on the
that's just
request.
an
Okay.
FYI, but it's kind of reflective of their, they're the ones that consented to the easement to
Right,
go
right.
through.
Yeah.
And
So there's already some collaboration that's been established between
yeah,
John and his neighbor. Super, okay.
so anyway, he's requesting to be a part of the water district.
So do we need a motion to?
And the thought was that we would put in 2 stub outs there, one for the Gillards on their second parcel, which is where the line would go through, and for Barnsdale.
Okay.
So there would be two potential hookups.
So there's one definite hookup.
There'll be one
if he
hookup,
can-
but
in-
there'll be one hookup, and there'll be 2 boxes
Yeah.
set, and there'll be 2 lines going through the trench partway down. Terry and I already looked at it.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, the board just needs to approve that so that we can tell him yes
Sure.
or no. Or whatever.
Sure. Any other questions? Okay, can we make a motion? Anybody want to make a motion? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion I'd like to make a motion that we approve the hookup for the Dr. Barnsdale.
Barnsdale.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All ayes. Okay. Well, great. Welcome to the community water.
Yeah.
So what's the time, like, it sounds like your well failed.
He's not on.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
not. Oh,
It dropped off, yeah.
oh, so I mean, Lynn, you know him. I mean, he wants this ASAP kind of a thing.
I'll talk
Okay.
to him.
Okay, then we can kind of coordinate, and then if you could help me where you guys want the meters, and then that's where, we'll just set it
Well,
up.
you know how the little hill kind of comes down?
Yeah, off of the
The
main.
property line, I think, is actually up where they're.
Okay,
Well, we'll talk.
yeah, let's go look. I'd hate to put him in the wrong spot.
And I'll talk to Terry and make sure we're good on where we're gonna
Right.
put it straight. But what they're gonna,
Yeah, they're gonna put, yeah, the district's only gonna get the boxes in, and then they've gotta,
they're
Yeah.
on their own.
perfect, perfect. All right,
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
thank
All
you.
right, guys. All right,
Thank you, Jerry.
good night.
Thanks, Jerry.
If you heard anything about that leak over by, Helen there, the one that's in the middle of the road, that's not treated water?
No, you know, we've called the county several times, and truth be known, I've kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah.
We've emailed the county, we've called the county, we've tested it for chlorine about 4 or 5 times, and nothing.
This is the one on Helen, right?
Yeah, is it getting
Oh,
worse?
Okay.
On Helen.
Well, when you go, it's funny, because when you walk there in the morning, there's a bottle right in the middle.
Okay, we'll take a look. It sounds like it's getting better.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll test it again and
Okay.
make sure.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, so we're gonna go resume with our regular agenda again. So item F under reports, we have the general manager report, so Don, go ahead.
Okay, so the first one here is the website update, and the big thanks is actually to Diane Alessi for she has kind of spearheaded kind of the website development as far as how it's going to look and where things will go, and she's put in probably over 100 hours in the last month of getting that going. I've put in quite a few hours producing the different documents and making them searchable PDFs, making them ADA stuff, and along the way find all the little mistakes that I make. So anyway, it's actually a very cool, it's a very fun website. It's going to look very professional, I have to say. It's going to make our small district look big.
Right. I had the opportunity to navigate through it a little bit. It's really neat. It's gonna, I think it's gonna be an example of what the district can do and what, you know, is able. I think it's gonna address some of the concerns that people did bring about during the meeting with communication and the website not being not able to navigate the website, and it's inviting. So the old one, I think, was a little not so exciting. Now it's inviting. You kind of want to poke around. You get she added some nice quotes on certain places. I thought that was amusing. And there's plenty of pictures. She added pictures of the project. It was nice to be able to zip through those and actually see the progress. So fantastic job.
Yeah.
And when's it going live, Don?
Tomorrow.
Well,
Awesome.
Going live tomorrow.
Okay.
The trigger was pulled last night to have it done on Friday, but the caveat is that it could take a few minutes to 3 days. So it just depends on, you know, how.
Just remind folks to refresh.
It
They
gives
don't
us
get it right away. They just need to refresh their browser so that they get the new one.
That's great, that's great.
So anyway, it's very cool. We'll be, and the district was approved for a grant, for a 15-month grant. And so the district's not paying any money for almost a year and a half, or a year and a quarter. And so it's really zero out-of-pocket money for the district to get this website going. Wow. But if we were to have paid a web developer, it would have cost a fortune. Just even with the preset stuff, Diane's put in seriously countless hours doing it, and I just complete appreciation to her. It
doesn't even look.
I can't overstate how much work it is just to plan it. Yeah. And just to plan, okay, we need a landing page for this, and then from here, that's where the documents will all go heading into there. It's so streamlined. It's sort of like you go to the minutes, it'll be attached to an agenda, and then there will be the voice recording from Zoom, if it's on Zoom, and that's just one example. But another one is that the agendas can be pumped out from the website if we go with this other option. I'll explain that later. But anyway, thank you, Diane, for spearheading that. I just saw Don.
Internet, and now I can't raise my hand, so I apologize. Sorry, guys.
Say that again, Diane. We didn't catch that, or I didn't.
I'm sorry, my internet is being exceedingly sketchy and I've been bumped off at least 10 times already tonight.
Okay.
So I apologize. I was going to offer to do a share screen and let you see all of the work, but I'm very happy. This internet's just being too sketchy, unfortunately, and now you're frozen.
Yeah.
I probably didn't hear any of that. I don't know.
So anyway, thank you, Diana, for putting in so much work on the website and assuring that every last document is ADA compliant and adhering to the law. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm excited for everybody to be able to start participating in it.
Just so you know, the voice coming through is a tiny bit hard to understand. So
I'm not surprised. The internet is sorry.
so anyway, can I deviate just over to John here?
Yes.
So that John, can you hear me? If you could, anyway, John, I'm just going to hope that you can hear me. The board just approved the connection to water, and so we'll be reaching out to you to get the location and whatnot, along with Lynn Cook. So anyway, I hope you can hear that, and I'll talk to you tomorrow if need be. So, or someone from the district will be in contact with you.
If he doesn't call me by this weekend, I'll call him.
Yeah,
Let him know.
we'll get it going. So anyway, I just kind of explained what was going on. All right, board compensation study that we've kind of
Self-explanatory.
that's been dealt with. The fire safety and station, that committee has just plain not started. The communications in formation of the little space there. Anyway, that's going to be starting up soon, and actually Rolando and I had talked about a good segue into for like the first meeting on what to talk about on that one. So we'll be talking about that soon. So it's going to be starting up right away. The policy review development is there's a couple of policies on the first read that's coming up later on the agenda. One's the fiscal policy, and another one's the personnel and hiring policy. And then the CIP projects and strategic action plan, that one is definitely not started yet. I kind of suspect that one's probably not going to get started until after the tank is complete and it's all good to go, and we know exactly what the debt payment is on the loan and how much just kind of the whole ball game on that. So anyway, I'm not expecting the CIP project strategic action plan to start soon. So that completes the committee formation, the committee update.
Any questions from any of the board?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and so now the next item is the welcome to, oh, I just stole your line. The welcome to Christian Valley sign.
Yeah, so, well, we have to ask for public comment.
Oh,
right?
yes. Thank you.
Right.
Any public comment on the?
Well, here, so we're moving on to the next action item. So this is G, action item number 2. Welcome to the Christian Valley sign, and we'll take any public comment now. Please raise your hand or feel free to speak up. Okay, I don't see any public comments, so go ahead, Don.
Okay, so the next action item is the welcome to Christian Valley sign, and the welcome to Christian Valley sign. It turns out Diane, is right in his hand. It's also on the board docs link that's under board docs on the website. On the old website, it'll be on the new too. But anyway, my request is that, I'm sorry. I need to back up. the sign that was proposed last month that Diane suggested that it needs to be looked at a little closer. It turns out that sign was made about an 8.5, 11 size, but when you blow it up, you zoom in on the sign so that it's a 3 feet by 4 feet sign. There's all kinds of, I think she called them artifacts, but like flaws that would be really grossly mishandled if we were just to send it off to the printer. And so she graciously just used she has a degree in fine arts and graphic design, I think, and he just sort of took that as a base plate and took off all the imperfections on the sign and made one right there. The thing that and it's sound. It's as though it were a 3x4 sign, and so but it's just one option. And the thought is that I think that after the community gets a good look at one option, that might spur on some other ideas to come forward, as well as I'm still waiting on Placer County Planning Department, the sign approval department, to weigh in on whether we even need a permit or not. And by my looking at the whether we need a permit or not, is that we don't need one. That's my supposition. But I went through them to have them tell me, no, you don't need a permit. And part of the reason why I didn't think that we needed a permit was that it basically gave a little bit of a carte blanche to if the sign is less than 20 square feet, then you don't need a permit. But I'm sure that there's other requirements, and it's on account. 2 of the signs would be on county roads, and another one would be on Christian Valley owned roads, and that there's 2 different. So they would just So anyway, my suggestion to the board, I'm asking them let's table it till the new year, and let the new board kind of handle that whole idea. And even the county was saying, oh, well, I think that we can put that one up, but let me check. So they're still in the let me check. They've been on the let me check for about 3 weeks now. So it's not like I called them yesterday and I'm waiting on them.
Right.
They have it, and I just need to tickle their ear again to make sure.
So do we need to take any action?
Well, the board could just say yes. Let's delay the whole sign installation. I mean, it's been there for 50 years or whatever it is.
Right.
It could last another few months.
Is there any questions from the board or any objections to delaying?
No questions, no objections, just a comment, which is that I think we need to be very careful, not just in this situation, but going forward in many other areas where we ask for participation from the community, and someone goes to the effort to submit something, and we let them know that it all looks great, and then we decide no, or we change it. I think that before we redesign, if you will, what we I don't want to say accepted, but what we sort of accepted, primarily accepted from this resident, that we work with her to see if there's something that we could come up with that would incorporate her design with whatever the final product is. I don't think that we need to, I think it's not good just say, we want your input, we want your ideas, and then to just say, and just dismiss it and come up with something else.
Yeah.
I appreciate Diane's expertise, but I don't think that we need to totally reinvent the wheel. Perhaps see how we could use this residents' submission and make it work for us.
I agree, because particularly with the new website coming up, they will be able to see the sign proposal, and make comments or suggestions to us, and we can take those into consideration, whatever changes or, you know, because right now, I'll bet you, you know, 90% of the people don't have any idea that we're even doing this. So, and once the new websites come up, they'll be able to see that and say, hey, you know, we like this or we don't, or, you know, yeah. So.
Yeah.
Don, did you say 3 signs?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Two of them are county roads. Well, that's up for negotiation too. You know, however many signs, you know.
Yeah.
So.
There's 4 roads that come into Christian Valley.
So
I just like to
anyway,
validate.
my suggestion is to table that, and
Okay.
I'm asking just to put it off for a few months.
Yeah, I totally agree with tabling it. I just think that we need to be very careful in our efforts to involve the community at large, and then to perhaps not work with a submission, if you will, in this case, to see if it can't work or not, rather than just dismissing it. I'm not suggesting that we are dismissing it, but I think that that's something we need to really be careful of going forward.
Yeah, and I'm going to support what Bonnie's saying. We really need to validate the efforts of the community when they're volunteering their time and energy to do a submission. And so I also support the idea of putting it off right this second and letting the board, you know, tackle it again. But I just need for us to be mindful of the fact that we've got a submission. So when we're doing that, we need to be very considerate of the person or persons who have submitted and engage them in the discussion before bringing it back.
Yes. Right.
I agree.
Okay.
I second that.
Yeah.
Got it
So-
from the new sign, Christian Valley got it. I don't know who GRE is.
So we're just going to table this item until after the first of the year.
Yes, I think there's nobody disagrees with that, so. Okay. So moving on to item number 3 regarding the newsletter. Did everybody get the sample newsletter? And is there any public comment on the newsletter?
Oh, should we take the public comment on the sign?
Yes, I would like
Right
to,
here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'd like to make, I have a few comments on the newsletter.
Go ahead, Joanne.
Okay. I would like to see some changes to it. I would like to see, the first thing on the front of the page is our election. I think that's the most important thing right now, is our upcoming election, and have the candidates there on the front page so everybody knows who's running, and maybe a little paragraph from each candidate. Second thing is to let the community know of our upcoming new website. And then I think, you know, the tank project is always on the front page, and I think maybe it needs to be moved to the back page just as an update, and always have more current things on the front page. And then the last thing, I don't think we really need to remind people to clean their gutters, or, you know, whatever it is that we're reminding them of every newsletter. People are going to do what they're going to do, and no amount of reminding them is going to make them change. That's just my opinion and suggestions.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Yes, I have one. I agree with Joanne on everything, but I'd also like to say that the one on getting your trees trimmed and getting all the brush and stuff done, that has been suspended since COVID first started, and it says that you can call them up and get help, but you cannot. They may have it up and running by the middle of October, so that's really misleading to people. They did have a dumpster service thing that they were doing, a green waste dumpster service, but they ran out of money on that also. So there is nothing at this point.
Is this about the chipping service?
I yield. Correct. It's the chipping program. It hasn't been up and running since COVID started.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. Any other comments? Doesn't look like it. Okay. The one comment that I would say is, we typically provide the items to be put on the agenda the month before, and then we just approve it here. So, and it's up to the board if we want to kind of go back and change the changes based on the suggestions that are being made. It's kind of, we need to think about these way ahead of time. We can't be doing it right after we put all this effort into a document already based on the information that was provided at the last meeting, and then create all this rework. So that's my one concern. And some of this information is sort of new. The website information, Dan's been working long and hard and to get it done for like today, and so we can get it next week. But that wasn't information that was available at the last meeting. We didn't have any idea about that. I do tend to agree with some of the information about the chores that need to be done, and then just being a reminder, I don't think I need them. They're not useful to me personally, but that's my opinion. Anyways, those were my comments. I don't know if anybody has anything else.
I do like I do like.
Can you hear me? I had to use a different cell phone.
I think that Dan is speaking right now.
It's very difficult tonight with the internet. I apologize.
Go ahead, Dan, we'll come back to you.
I do like the fact that the suggestions about bringing the potential candidates forward to the top so people can see what's going on and that stuff like that. I kind of agree with Rondo, the stuff about the cleaning your gutters and stuff like that. Maybe that should be on the back page, because that's kind of a maintenance item around your house that you should be aware of, if you're living, particularly if you live in Christian Valley with all the vegetation that we have. So anyway, that's my only comment. So.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the newsletter or to make changes.
I just have a question, because I know that having done newsletters in the past, once you change one item on there, it kind of changes the formatting for a lot of different items. I do like the idea of eliminating some of the redundant things that are on every time, because now we can post those into the new website to say, remember, as a homeowner in Christian Valley, these are things you need to pay attention to. I like the idea of saying, check out the website now, because the address is the same. So the site, check out the website, it's brand new.
And we do have that. There are actually two places in the proposed newsletter where we direct people to the new website. I'm happy to do what the board decides. However, I've been asked probably 3 or 4 times in the last month to make changes. And I'm quite honestly getting a little bit frustrated. I think there's not a lot of coordination or understanding currently about what the board wants in the newsletter, and what the board wants in the newsletter and what perhaps the community wants may be 2 different things right now. And I take my direction from the board, not from the community. Honestly, and I get a lot of direct comments. People, we have a neighbor who Lynn is well aware of, 2 or 3 streets down, who refuses to clean her gutters. And if not for something in the newsletter about it's your responsibility to clean your gutters, she would not do it. And I think that once if the board in fact decided to go to 2 pages versus 4 pages, it gets a little more tricky in terms of what to include that is really useful, important, or not. I think that including a candidate statement feels a little, feels a little inappropriate to me, maybe.
Okay, that's fine.
We are not a partisan publication. Had we wanted that, or had the board wanted that prior to the election, and this will be the last newsletter before the election, I should have been told that a month or 6 weeks ago. So to have that thrown at me right now just seems a little inappropriate to me. So I'm willing to make a few more changes, but certainly I'm not willing on my nickel to make a lot of changes at this point.
So I have a suggestion on that, because I think the election coming up is a super important one, not just for our little valley, but for everybody in general. So reminding everybody to vote in the election, and then saying, Christian Valley.
And there is something in there. I don't know whether you saw that, but there absolutely is.
I haven't done that, but then just a link on there to the candidate watch, so then people can go on their own and take a look.
Yeah.
That might be the best way, because then that opens up all of the positions in Placer County that they would
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So which I think is a good thing, but just reminding folks that, we're having a board election. Here's the link, candidate watch, so we're not taking up a whole lot of space. And again, I totally understand the newsletter and the process, and changing it is not, you just don't arbitrarily change it overnight and have it ready to go because your formatting looks different.
Right.
So,
And, and quite honestly, and forgive me if I sound a little defensive, because I am, this all could have been discussed a month or 6 weeks ago before the next newsletter. And so to have me change it the next, week or 10 days, it's not fair.
Yeah, and I just
No,
want.
Bonnie, you're 100% right. No, you are 100% right.
Yeah.
So,
I think one comment real quick. I think that I kind of agree, and I think that the bigger issue of communication in the newsletter, I think it has to be taken up by the communication committee that's going to be meeting. I think
Absolutely.
that we might be able to have a standard for our newsletter, as well as a good process, so that we don't get into these last minute things. Because
I think it's just communication. It's, it's the board deciding really what they want, and not just throwing out ideas. And then I develop something, and then I change it 2 or 3 times, and then we get to a board meeting and they want something different. That's not okay.
Yeah. So the communications committee can become a clearinghouse for the articles that need to be in the newsletter.
Absolutely.
And I put it on the agenda for last month so that it would be not not like last minute Larry on this, but
right.
Being proactive. So yeah, Lynn.
Based on what happened in Berry Creek last week, 2 weeks ago, I think it wouldn't hurt to have a little reminder for people to think about how quickly they can gather what they need to gather up and be out of their house in 5 minutes.
Fire escape plan.
And there's 10 people up there in Berry Creek dead because they couldn't get out in 5 minutes.
And that's so true. And Lynn, you make a good point in that, things that we talk about being timely for the newsletter, a month or 6 weeks ago may not be as timely as they are today. After the fires in Berry Creek.
Maybe better in the spring newsletter when we're getting closer to fire season again next year. But people still should be thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how many articles I put in about fire-wise community and defensible spaces.
Yeah.
And so, you guys tell me. I'll put in whatever you want.
No, I think we've been pretty proactive about it, considering that we weren't anticipating fire sort of thing. So is there anybody from the board that is wishing to make one of these changes?
A question about the agenda. We have in item G, you have October agenda items, and you have future agenda items. How about tonight's agenda items, i.e. roads?
Oh, what?
Roads.
Oh, roads.
Oh.
And the reason why they bring that up is, are we going to request Placer County to do striking for us?
We're not done with the agenda item yet.
But it's not on there. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Can we wait to get through this one, and then there's a call for agenda items?
If we wait till October or in the future, it's too late to paint.
Okay, so let's finish this and we can bring that up as a last minute item, but let's get through the agenda first. Okay, again, is anybody on the board proposing that we make any changes according to the recommendations that were made? Or are we comfortable with the newsletter as it is? Okay, and we need a motion to approve the newsletter as is or with any changes.
I move that the newsletter be approved as is with a couple of minor changes that Bonnie is gonna do.
I second that.
Bonnie, are you?
I really need to know what those changes are specifically. Are you?
Yeah. Well, so there was no, she doesn't know which changes. She wasn't proposing it.
She's good with,
Yeah, she's just saying that we need to articulate those. So if you,
I thought she had a couple of minor
well,
changes.
I'll go through the list that I wrote real quick. One of them was to put the election candidates, and I think nobody really supported that.
That's
There
right.
is a need to put a note about the elections, and that's there. Kathy suggested a link to the Placer County candidate something. Is that there now, Bonnie?
I know, I can add that.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So that will be one change.
Okay.
You know, there's the idea that we shouldn't have the chores on there. I think we can address that going forward, but for now that it's been printed.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then there was a change to this one is probably a viable one that Marilyn brought up about that they're no longer doing the shipping. So
Okay, I will call and make sure that that's the case as of tomorrow, whatever, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Diane had a comment. Go ahead.
I'm going to attempt to do that. I had to use my son's cell phone. Just from a design perspective, even though the items are listed in the order which it carries an eye around to whether or not to read it or not, that's the issue I take with the newsletter. The configuration.
I don't understand what you're saying, Diane.
I'm sorry. I really do apologize for this, and I'm really frustrated by it, but I did submit a protest of it, and I was specific as to what other items should have been in place besides picking up dog poop and cleaning out house gutters. There could have been more important things included, such as committees, volunteering, candidacy, and for sure, driving everybody to the website on the first page, out in center. There's no graphic that goes with the website. It's very mundane to the right and relegated is a lesser item. I yield. I'm sorry for the connection.
Actually, your connection is really good right now, Diane. So whatever.
Well, you know, Diane, if you had thoughts a week or 2 weeks or a month ago, you could have shared them with me.
I don't get to see I don't see the layout until 72 hours before a meeting.
Well, okay, so at this point, Diane, you are not a board member. You're a member of the community. Thank you for your input. But
that's exactly the point. I'm one of the readers, Bonnie.
Okay. Well, let's look at your website and all of the horrible information.
Bonnie.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, so Diane, understood, and we discussed a lot of the things. I think you may not have been on and off. You were jumping. It's all the things that you brought up. Unfortunately, it was brought up at the last minute, maybe because you didn't see the newsletter. But we do talk about the newsletter the previous month and provide input at that point. There is a communications committee that's going to be formulated, and that group is going to be responsible for establishing kind of a guideline for the newsletter, as well as a process for submitting the items and the review of the newsletter if it's not fast enough. But at this point, I think the board feels, and we just approved, I think we haven't gone through the full process of approving the newsletter with some minor changes that the board members agreed to.
So I'm going to second the motion that Dan made, I believe. I don't remember who made the motion to approve the newsletter with the changes that just got discussed, which for this newsletter, and then using the communications committee from this point forward as a clearinghouse for the kind of things that go in the newsletter.
Okay, So there is a second to, those in favor? Aye. Those against?
Abstain.
Bonnie abstains, so you have 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Okay, thank you, everybody. And the one thing that is good, I'm just gonna comment real quick, is there's more discussion around this, so I'm happy about that. And I think that there's a huge opportunity to improve it going forward. And I'm excited about what we're gonna be able to deliver and coordinate with the new website. So I think huge opportunity, and I appreciate the input, and we'll get a lot better newsletter going forward, I'm sure. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 4, purchase engagement from the Streamlined USDA affiliate. Are there any comments about this from the audience?
I gave you guys like a minute 49-second intro into what Engage actually is for a visual. If Dawn wants to do a share screen, it's up to you.
You'd have to go to the link or whatever she provided you.
Where did you?
Remember, I just gave you the promotional video that's less than 2 minutes.
Yeah. Did you give it to me via email?
I can do that and share my screen if you want me to.
Oh, okay.
Great. Okay, so do you want to introduce the topic while she's bringing it up?
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if she has
Kathy's
permissions to do that.
Oh, she can share.
Yeah.
Well, I'll find out really quick. Then let me get this up and running first.
So Engage is a something that I'm asking for the board to approve, especially in the light, well, for a couple of reasons. One is it's a communication tool for the district to the community. And oh, here's the video.
Okay. You want to just finish your quick intro and then we can play this?
So anyway, you can send different pages of the website out to the community. You can like with the agendas, they will automatically be sent out to the community. And on the agenda itself, all they have to do is just click on the item, and that item, the supporting documents, just come right up. And so, just like right now, we're like looking for it. And Diane, thank you for sending me the video on this. And so you just click on it, and it just comes right up.
Okay, well, let's watch the video and we'll see. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Go to full screen, Kathleen, please.
It might slow it way down where I am, but okay.
There you go.
An entire website page can be actually sent via email as well.
See the hits on different pages.
Also, whoever is in control of a specific event or item that's taking place or something that you're trying to drive, you can assign whoever is going to be in charge of that particular submission list.
So people can sign up right on the website.
What's the cost of this, Don?
$50 a month.
Would it make your job easier? Okay. That's a no-brainer for me.
Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any questions from the public real quick? Yeah, thanks, Diane, for sharing this. Okay,
Come on.
any questions?
Okay. I'll wait.
Yeah, any,
So, one of the questions you might be asking is this going to make, well, Dan asked, is this going to make my job easier? And part of my job is to implement the communications committee, and it certainly will from that point of view, because then it can just be put right on the website and then broadcast out from there through the Engage component.
One of the things that will help in making the job easier too is this relates to some educational apps that we used for parent notifications or family notifications. So if an emergency situation exists, anyone who subscribes will get an emergency notification, whatever it happens to be, whether it's some sort of a warning, or whether it's something happening in the valley, or whether it's something happening outside of the valley. And that's for subscribers only, but it also will give notifications that can be sent out for special meetings, for when we want public input, for any of those kinds of things. So I think it is a wonderful add-on. And I believe within the budget, I would have to go back and take a look at the budget, but I believe within the budget, we allocated a certain amount for website development, which we have not needed to use. So this is a piece of the website development if you want to pursue it in that realm for the goals that we have to improve our communication. But I think just for the purposes of emergency notifications and notifications for what's happening, and letting those folks who have the ability to get a text message or get a phone call or get an email message, this does that. And maybe we can support those people who don't use those resources and help them understand why it's important and help them learn how to and get them connected as well.
And it's a month-to-month commitment. It's not a year or anything.
Not a year thing.
It's
Okay.
just a month-to-month.
So if we try it and then we find it beneficial, then whether we
Just
keep
continue.
it, continue it. If we don't, then you can discontinue it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So looking for a motion.
I would just add that honestly, we've saved a ton of money, because when we were looking at even just doing an evaluation of the other website, I know I saved you at least 3,000 there. I know that if we would have went out to a web developer, it would have cost us about 10,000. Plus, it would have been a monthly, a much higher monthly maintenance fee for that. And this particular website is only for special districts and to keep us 508 ADA compliant. And this is just one more tool in that arsenal to keep us in compliance as we go forward. And as legislation changes, it's probably going to become mandatory anyway. Thank you. I yield.
As it is with school districts right now.
Yeah.
so we need a motion from a board member.
I motion that we move forward to enroll in the service.
I second.
Okay,
Who said that?
Kathy. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I'm gonna abstain.
So I'm sorry. I gotta note this one.
Yeah.
Let's see, Dan Negus, aye.
Actually, I don't see Bonnie online anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. Lynn Cook, you're an aye.
Yeah.
And Rolando.
I abstain.
Abstain. And then Kathy is an aye.
Yeah. So Dan, Lynn, and Kathy are ayes. I abstain. Bonnie disappeared. Motion carries.
Perfect, I'm done.
Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, or is that the one that we approved already? The board bylaws that didn't have?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
done.
So we're done there.
Okay,
And then next item is resolution 2006.
okay. That would be for me to,
Any public comment on resolution action item 6 under section G?
What's the change? How much?
I'll get to that. We're doing public comment on it.
We're on 6.
Yeah. I don't see any public comment or anybody raising their hand, so go ahead.
Okay.
Don.
So I've reached out to the attorney, like you had requested, Lynn, to see what it is that we, can we charge a different rate and whatnot. And the response is that we need a genuine rationale for how the increase is given. And by using the engineering ENR method is an acceptable rate. It's like using a consumer price index to raise things. One of the issues actually is that, if we want to raise it, which we can come up with a different method, we would need to do an engineering study to see, how much it takes to be in the district using present costs and whatnot, and then probably have a rate consultant to figure out what's that round. Engineering gives like a total cost, and then the rate consultant gives how much is that going forward with the 65 different people. So
if we use the construction cost index, then we don't have to do all of that rigmarole. And my question is, how much should it increase?
It's less than 1%.
Okay.
And with that, I'm requesting that the board not even change not do anything to the resolution, not approve it, just ignore it. And because it's less than 1%, that next year when the ENR organization gets their wheels on the ground finally because of COVID, that they'll have
have new data.
That the new data, it'll still increase or whatever it will be, but it'll be more reflective of what's reality.
What the actual cost is.
Yeah, because right now they stopped in January.
Yeah.
And so it's really not very.
It's little money is what you're telling me,
Yeah,
right? But it's an opportunity that we can't, because we're limited to how we can do it, how much we can do. So we have a little bit of an opportunity to raise it a little bit, and we'll have a better opportunity in the future.
And we could change our mind and adopt a resolution just like this in February. It doesn't have to be this month.
Okay.
So we can choose to update it at any point. It's just that I had normally done it just after the starting of the new fiscal year. That's just, I just planned it out to be that way, using the June construction cost index. But I can revisit it when the construction cost index fires back up and see what it is and go from there. But right now, when it's less than 1%, it's just like, okay, we did all this resolution to increase it by $10 or whatever it is. And it's like, really? So anyway, my suggestion is to ignore it, but it'd have to be a resolution, a motion approved to do nothing.
Right. Anybody have any questions or want to make a motion? It doesn't look like we have any questions. Can we make a motion to support Don's request, one of the board members?
So moved.
Can we get a second?
Who is the?
Kathy.
Okay, thanks, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Who's the second?
I guess I am.
Okay.
So all those in favor? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Motion carries for approval. Okay, next item on the agenda is, so we're seeing a lot more of these. This is great. The fiscal purchasing and bidding policy discussion. Anybody from the public that cares to comment on the item? Okay, I don't see any questions, so we'll go ahead and.
Yes.
It's going to be in the November meeting. So.
It is. I just wanted to explain it a little bit. The process of joining CSDA and then subscribing to their policy handbook was wonderful, because what it allowed us to do is to go in and pull all the policies in certain areas as recommended by their legal counsel anyway. So what we've done is we've put together 2 packets of policies, and they come with their own numbering system. And I think that I will recommend to the board that we adopt that numbering system. So the first set of policies have to do with the fiscal, which is accounting, the credit card use, employee and consultants, expenditures and expense utilization, purchasing, reserve policy, debt management, and internal controls on how we do business. And what the intent is that these are in its rough draft form right now as recommended by CSDA legal counsel. And the policy committee will meet. And Dan, just as a reminder, you're on that committee. And I just want to remind you of that. And Dawn, will be a part of that. And then I've got another list of folks who are going to be serving, and we'll set up our meeting, and we'll actually go through each one of these, but we will approve them as a package once we get all of the recommended changes in. So those will show up at the November meeting. So clearly we're going to be meeting in the next couple of weeks to review this. This isn't all of the fiscal policies. What I did was I pulled the most important ones first. So you're going to see as we progress over the next few months, other policies that are going to need to be adopted that will also be called fiscal. And so that's why they each have their own number, but I just wanted to share with you. And I put them in a single document. So when we look them up on the website, somebody can search by number and up the right one will come, or they can search by keywords and the right one will come up. Okay.
That's one of the key items by putting it up on the website, so
Exactly.
we'll be able to get easily access. Right now, I think we had to go through the old minutes and stuff like that and drag out whatever we have. So I think this will be a big step forward with being able to get to see actually documents, and it'll be in a lot more readable form, which will assist us that much better.
Yeah. And I've already started to highlight some of the areas that the committee is going to talk about. I actually went through each one of these policies and made a few changes already that were minimal in the sense of putting, Christian Valley Park in there, or highlighting areas where there was some discussion that was needed. A lot of it is just going to be adoption because these are good fiscal practices that are approved through government code. So can I go right on to the next one while I'm on a roll?
Yeah, there's no action really other than, hey, make sure you read this for the next meeting so we can take action next meeting, right?
Well, yes, and these will be posted well ahead of time with the changes recommended by the committee.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the next one is the personnel. And again, same component as before, that there are a large number of personnel policies that I didn't bring forward at this time, mainly because a lot of them don't apply to us. So these are the most critical ones. First one is nepotism, recruitment and hiring, unlawful harassment, which I know we already have, but this is the most updated version, which includes everything we need. Whistleblower policy, and then compensation. And this compensation refers to all district employees. So that's why this is important for the November meeting, because we're going to be considering compensation. So the policy committee is going to be reviewing the fiscal policies that are listed and the personnel policies that are listed, and they will have recommendations moving forward. Again, as before, these are called the 3000 policies, or the personnel policies. So each one has a number. So once you have them, once we approve and they're posted to the website, then somebody will be able to type in the keyword, whatever that happens to be, and that particular policy will come right up.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that's it.
Any comments from the community on the personnel one?
Yeah, so we skipped the comments from the community on the personnel one.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I think we weren't getting any bites, but here's your opportunity. Okay, so I think we're done with the action items that are on here. I am going to kind of add an item right now, which is the item of the roads. And I want to kind of give Dawn some direction here. I think we should put a roads report under the reports. So that should be, the roads report should be under, after your report. Okay. Going forward, I think.
Under the F section and right after the water, yeah.
Yeah, so it's all part of the reports, and it's, so we should have Jerry's report, Don's report, roads report, and then other reports.
Right.
Going forward. Okay, Lynn, go ahead with what you were bringing up earlier.
Well, you answered part of the question, but you know, that it should be where we should discuss it, so that's fine.
I think it was just inadvertent as we've been developing the agenda, that's all.
Are we gonna do a striping project this year? If we are,
I
we
think
need
we
to,
should.
need to make a decision tonight. Because,
We can't make a decision tonight because it's not on the agenda, so I hate to burst the bubble, but my
Well-
suggestion is that we put it on the October agenda items because this is just the beginning list, and so anybody can add to these items as they go on the agenda.
Yeah,
I beg to differ with the fact it might not be on the agenda. It should have been on the agenda. And the fact that if we wait till October, it won't happen, it'll be too cold to paint. So do you want to have stripes in the middle of the road or not?
Is that a safety?
yeah.
That's a safety item.
We can't take action on anything that wasn't already on the agenda.
We can't, we'll be in violation of the Brown Act.
So I think what we're
But-
saying is,
Can
I would like to see the general manager make that decision with our roads committee person.
I was gonna say,
okay,
just, general manager can just make that call.
it is
We can get
maintenance
together
anyway,
and decide which roads we think are.
Yep, I would like to see the general manager do that one.
But I beg to differ on that. The general manager is not he's not an officer. The board should make that decision.
Well, then we wait
Board
until,
wants to discuss something that's not on the agenda, they have their right. More so than the general manager.
okay,
I think we can discuss it. I don't think we can take an action.
Neither can, then how can he?
we can't discuss it. It's not an agendized item. We cannot discuss it.
Give me a break. How many times have we discussed something that's not on the agenda? What do you want to call it, an emergency? It needs to be done.
Can it be on the special meeting agenda for Monday?
Not gonna happen.
We could put it on the meeting for Monday.
Unless you want to talk about it Monday night.
That's what
That's
she's
what she's just
suggesting.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If it, yeah,
I think,
okay.
I'll put it
So,
on the agenda for Monday.
Yeah.
Because we have to have an open session, then go to close, and then go to open. And we'll put it on the front.
okay. But while we're on the topic, can you summarize for everybody so that it'll be quicker on that day? We'll already know what we're talking about. So just give your roads report.
Well, there's nothing to report other than that, because we didn't have a contract.
Okay. Is everybody clear on what Lynn's going to be proposing? Okay, sounds like we are. Okay. So I think,
I'm not exactly clear. I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm not exactly clear what he wants done.
Okay, I typically, just real quick, we do an annual project, I believe, or an annual project to paint the lines on the roads that need painting.
The county does it on our behalf, but we reimburse them.
Yeah.
It's usually about $1,300 to $1,400.
Yeah. So if we want to take advantage of the opportunity for
So
the,
that,
go ahead.
so that consists of Christian Valley Road and Stanley. Those are the county roads.
It would be a non-county roads, like Mary or Greg.
Mary and Greg and Alan and Gail, a little bit of Gail.
So, but
Pondorex.
we'll talk about that on Monday
Monday,
on that agenda.
Right. Okay, and it's going to be on the agenda going forward. That's kind of the main thing. Yep.
It was not meant to be on.
Yeah, it's inadvertent. Okay, so moving on to the next agenda items, we have G1, which is the board compensation. We already covered that one. So now we have G2, other agenda items. So I think right now we're talking about agenda items for the meeting in October. So it's a good opportunity to make any recommendations. I think we have the policies that we already have up here, that's there. We adopted the adopted the bylaws already. Okay. Anybody have any additional suggestions? Okay, then I think we have an opportunity to add to the agenda prior to the meeting. What is it, 2 days?
8.
How many?
I think it's 8 days.
8 days.
I'll
Yeah.
have to go back and take a look.
So if anybody has any ideas, please email Dawn for agenda items. Okay, item number 3, future agenda items, policy updates. We're working on that. The town hall meeting, are we getting any closer to maybe coming up with the date? I probably need to check with Jerry, and I believe that was an action item for me.
It'll be in a future.
That will be a future agenda, okay.
Is that the one, or is that the one where we were talking about having people come to?
Right, but we still have the COVID problems of, you know.
Yeah, so that's why it's still a future.
Yeah.
Not even the planning stage.
And then you did have CVPCSD roads on here for future agenda.
Yeah, but we'll just move it up on every agenda under reports and then have it on the special meeting agenda for action.
Okay. Any other input regarding future agenda items? Okay, I think we can move on. Wait,
Is there any questions from the community on those, right?
well, yeah, and I just, on the next page, we also have ordinance review and update, which I think we're working through with a lot of the policy. And Brown Act and government training, we talked about doing that after the election.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Diane, you raised your hand?
Yeah, Rolando, I was just going to try to help with the, perhaps the town hall meeting can still be somewhat of a virtual discussion, but also perhaps just even do a virtual carousel somewhat. I mean, we have a lot of Jerry's photographs about the work up there, but I think we can be more specific with like a video talking through it, or just having Jerry like basically point out things, and then we can upload those videos, because right now we have a live YouTube channel as well. So maybe we can integrate that, and you can put that in a future discussion about how we can coordinate that. I yield.
A good suggestion, Diane. I'll talk to Jerry about it. See how busy he is too right now. Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
Diane's still in.
Yeah, just takes a minute. Okay, next item on the agenda are the consent items. So this is the approval of the board minutes. Does anybody have any changes to the board minutes? Nope. Okay, and then the review of the monthly expenditures. So do we have a motion for consent items?
I move we approve the consent items.
Okay.
As published.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So next section is comments from the audience on items not on the agenda. So I just see Diane, Greg, and Joanne. Do you guys have any input?
Diehards.
Yes, for sure.
I think probably maybe we can even do like a somewhat of a, what do I want to say? Maybe put together somewhat of in the same realm as like when that little presentation was just done for Engage, do something similar to the website, so that it's, for whoever's a little slow to go about where everything is, maybe we can just do a little promo like that for the YouTube channel, and then I can just have the teaser start video on that front page even, just to kind of introduce. So those two items in particular, in terms of maybe even your discussion with the consent, communications committee. So I have a lot of ideas for you in terms of that going forward, so that we can integrate it with the website.
So if I understood correctly, you're thinking, hey, can we have a short little video with members of the board to introduce the website and put that out there as a kind of a
Right,
kickoff.
right. That would be one for sure. Yeah. And like I said, it can be a promo on there, just even any other promo. And like, I think doing the virtual promo of what's going on at the web, at the site, considering we can't do a walkthrough that was requested, I think will be great. So somehow or other, we can coordinate that in some other action or agenda item.
Diane, maybe I'll reach out to you, or we'll talk a little bit. I'm thinking about maybe we can have outlined and then assign one of the board members, if they're willing to do it, and record themselves on their own with an introduction for themselves, and maybe they can discuss one of the items that we need to bring up in the video. Does that sound?
Yeah, we certainly should, connect, and I think we could work something out. It doesn't need to be more than like a couple, at the most, like a 2 or 3 minute video. Okay, thank you. I yield.
Yes, ma'am.
Last item. Where are we gonna meet Monday? I want to check on the nature center and see if we're okay there.
Yeah, I'll have to check into that
Yeah.
and see if it's even a possibility.
Okay, since it's
There's also a connection issue there.
since it'll be a closed session, there'll only be 7 of us. If you guys want to do it at my house, that'll be okay.
I will still be virtual. I'll be in Nashville.
Okay.
I feel strongly that we're better off discussing something this important face to face than trying to do a virtual if we don't have to.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Well, Kathy's going to be virtual. Did you hear that? Yeah, she's in Nashville, or will be.
Yeah, I'm in Arizona right now, but I'll be in Nashville on Monday.
Okay,
Okay.
take your guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would boot me out for singing or playing, so.
Dawn, have you reached back out to the PCWA to see if maybe they've lifted a little bit of restriction on that, perhaps? Because at least they have good internet.
I reached out a week and a half ago, and it was just flat out, "Are you serious?" It was anyway. But I'll ask again. And
Yeah, I mean, the Board of Supervisors are not enforcing a lot of anything right now, and Euler was actually on the news stating that Placer County wasn't going to enforce.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
and now that we're out of the purple into the red, we can have a meeting.
Well, yeah, that's assuming that the administration of the Placer Nature Center is willing to do that. So.
but they were talking about PCWA,
Yeah,
right?
same question goes. They might not be willing to risk it, even though the county supervisors are. So I don't know.
Right.
So let us know.
Yeah, so it will be in the
Yeah,
information
just
that
shoot
goes
us
out.
an email or something. And
I sure
It
will.
will be in the information with the agenda that needs to be
Yeah.
provided.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll be in conjunction with Rolando and coordinate there.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everybody for participating. Everybody have a good night. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
Good night.
Thank you.
thank you. Good night.
See you later, Greg.